Now we pray. Also, is there weather issues in Washington and Philly? I don't fucking have any of my browsers open. All right, we're live. We're live again. We think we got it this time. Jake's connection's better. My connection's working. Everybody's been tested and proofed. We believe in the process. We're here. Jake, talk for the people.
Yeah, all right. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't know how well, but hopefully this is going to work out for at least a few minutes so we can give some reasonable takes. But what about you?
I still don't have reasonable takes, for the record. All my takes are wildly unreasonable, regardless of the internet connection that we have.
That's fair. That's usually where I'm at too. So.
All right, but we are back. We are here. I think we're working okay. Jorah Price, much better so far. Thank you, Jorah. Thank you for sticking with us if you have. We're sorry about the headaches. Unfortunately, this is sort of the one issue of having remote offices everywhere. Some people have better producing laptops than others. It's just sort of the situation we got to work with. But you know what? Our brains are working fine enough to make home run picks. I already made mine in the chat, so I'm claiming this guy already after somebody's sloppy seconds from yesterday. Matt Olson of the Oakland A's is going to be my athletic pick.
All right. So for mine, let's see. I will go. Ooh, home runs kind of suck today. No Coors, obviously. No Coors.
No Coors.
Man, I want to go with Oakland again. But I think I'm going to go with someone on the Red Sox. I'll go with Andrew Benintendi. Last time I picked him, he donged, but there was a rain delay.
That's right.
Game got postponed.
We did count the home run, though. We did. That was one that we counted.
That's true.
We are mostly charitable with our home run picks here. All right, cool. We're good. Josh is still hurricane situation, yet probably still has a better internet connection than both of us do. Whatever that may be. But so no pick from Josh today, I presume. Unfortunately, but it doesn't matter for him anyway because he's mostly out of the home run, the crown of dongs race. Like, you know, he doesn't need to participate. Don't worry about Josh. Well, do worry about Josh, but not his home run picks.
No, don't worry about those.
But yeah, so if you do want to tweet some support to Josh at Josh Engelman, tweet him some love because he is currently in some part of North Carolina that is not Wilmington. Getting situated and in a hotel room and trying to get through and hope his house doesn't get destroyed and whatever. So, send support to our boy Josh because he's got a lot going on.
He does.
What are you doing stack wise tonight, Jake? We do have actually, if you're a premium member of Awesemo.com, we do have our perfect pitchers article up now by Awesemo breaking down his views on the pitching part of the slate, along with the likelihood of each pitcher finishing on top of a tournament for you. So go check that out if you are premium. We do have a promo code as well for 1 free week trial. Promo code Strategy Show will get you a week free. You also get Fantasy Cruncher for 2 more days for free before that becomes a premium add-on for our members. But go check that out. Promo code Strategy Show. Get your 1 week trial free. Stack-wise, what are you doing, Jake?
Yep, just was trying to pull those up. So thanks for filibustering there for long enough. All right, so it's Oakland, Boston, like very far, my top 2. No one's really close to them as far as my exposure. And then after those guys, it is the Angels. Let's see, I have the Royals I like a lot. If you're not going to Rodon, I mean, I am going to Rodon quite a bit, but I'm playing both sides of that. There's a couple matchups where I played both sides. Yankees versus Odorizzi, although I limited my Yankees exposure on purpose. But yeah, it's mostly those top 2 chalk stacks, but I will be mixing it around with some Texas hedge stacks against Felix Pena. I like the stack against John Gray. I just don't think he's right now. What about you? Where'd you end up, Chris?
For me, I have a ton of Oakland tonight. As I've said, pretty much every time we've had enough internet connection to talk. Who the fuck is calling me from my front desk? I hate them so much. Also, like, why does it have to ring through to my laptop? Does my computer technology not know that I'm trying to do something else?
Apparently.
No, so rude. Anyway, I have a lot of Oakland. I have a lot of actually, I don't have any Yankees, and I'm with you on Odorizzi. I do actually think that he's a decent play. His BABIP hasn't been as bad as his last few performances have been rather. And I just think he seems due for some regression. And as a little bit of a contrarian spot, obviously going against the Yankees, he does have some ownership. Odorizzi does. But I think that's a spot where I don't mind going with him, hoping for the best, as opposed to some of the other cheap pitcher guys. What other stacks do I have a lot of? A little bit of Milwaukee. Do not have any Cubs. Mostly I'm fading the Cubs. I'm with you on Arizona, and I kind of wish I was courageous enough to go there more. John Gray's kind of lost his stuff the last 2 weeks. His whip is up to 1.7, xFIP up to 6.3, not getting strikeouts, swinging strike rate down to 5.8%, his chase rate's down to 18.7%. Pretty big drops across the board from Gray, which make me wonder if maybe he gets shelled tonight and pulled, and then we get the old, oh, he's on the disabled list for 10 days thing. So I think the Arizona stack is a little interesting. Price-wise, though, they are priced up for Coors, so you're not getting a big benefit there. And if Gray is okay, you are getting John Gray, who's been pretty nasty even at Coors.
No, I agree. He's another one where I think I'm playing a little of both sides. I limited my Gray exposure. I'm going to be under the field on him. You're right about the swinging strikes and stuff. All of a sudden, he's just lost the ability to miss bats, apparently. And so me and Laffy were trying to kind of sort through that this morning on the strategy video when he was filling in for Josh, and we just couldn't figure out why. It doesn't really make that much sense at all.
Which, if it doesn't make sense, that might mean he'll bounce back and get back to what he was doing. But maybe he also had some sort of magical item that he gave to Herman Marquez, and now he's got it. Now he's got all the strikeouts.
Yeah, he gave him the magic touch and didn't keep any for himself.
Yeah, he had like what is the thing that the Jobu thing in Major League? That's probably way before your time. But
well, maybe he gave him some of the Mike Secret stuff in Space Jam.
There you go. Or he gave him some flubber on his pitching hand. And also the Angels too, I think, are one stack that I didn't get there enough, but goddamn do I love Ohtani. I love Ohtani every single night. But I think they're an interesting spot. A little expensive, obviously. You're paying a lot if you're trying to get Trout and Ohtani in there, or Upton even. But actually, Upton's pretty cheap, never mind. But the rest of them, though, if you are trying to stack them, that is a pretty pricey stack to go to for a matchup at the Angels Park instead of at Texas. So I don't know. I like the Angels. I'm a little curious about them. And I have a little White Sox, too. Osmo, on our premium article that we mentioned where he breaks down the top pitchers, advocates a little for Eric Skoglund because just from a value perspective, he is the best value pitcher on the slate. But boy, do I not see it. I think the White Sox are an interesting stack for a little bit. I have a little bit of Skoglund too, but I feel like an idiot for having it. I mean, the boss says it's okay, so I shouldn't feel like
he's good enough for my lineups, I suppose. So I limit him to 5% because I honestly, I was looking for someone in that range, and I just X'd off pretty much everyone. So he'll be my guy down there for 5% if he even gets to 5% in my crunch, which I'm going to do right now, actually.
Yeah, for me, Odorizzi was definitely the cheap play that I went to the most. I think I have a little bit of Aaron Sanchez just because, look, I don't mind playing shitty pitchers, especially on a max 20 entry like I'm doing tonight. I have no problem there. While we're talking pitchers, one guy who I have a lot of very above the field on, and again, to the brave go the spoils would be the hope here. Patrick Corbin in Coors, I think, has a pretty decent shot at being good tonight and possibly being the top scoring pitcher tonight.
Corbin, just his stuff translates well to Coors, so I have no issue with that take. Like the slider, fastball the fastball will translate well when you get into that thin air. It's kind of the one thing that does. So I certainly understand it with Colorado that has some swing and miss. I'm a little worried about LeMahieu Arenado's story. Not as much Arenado because we know he's got an ailing injury there. But still some worrisome bats there for Corbin. And he is expensive. So I kind of like that he's expensive because he's going to be unowned and it's going to be pretty easy to get above the field. But just some concerns. It's not just like a throwaway matchup against the Rockies.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they've been hitting it pretty well as a team, even if Arenado's kind of been up and down a little with his shoulder injury or whatever's going on with him. But yeah, I think, Corbin's stuff has been really good. I think he's got the best out of his last couple weeks. He's got the best swinging strike rate working for him. Let me pull that up real fast. He's had he's got a 17.8% swinging strike rate the last 2 weeks. His whip is down to 0.82, xFIP down to 2.27, chase rates 38%. So these are all basically highs on the slate for him that have occurred within the last 2 weeks. So to me, like, I think he's in a good matchup, and I believe in the talent for him. And obviously, you know, there is some ownership on those Colorado bats, especially Matt Holliday. Apparently Drew Butera too. People are really playing Drew Butera.
I guess just near minimum salary guy with the platoon split in Coors. I mean, it's understandable why you want to just like he'd be the last guy in, but
I didn't even see him move from Kansas City. I didn't know he was on Colorado.
Yeah, he's played a couple games for Colorado so far, I think.
Huh. I guess I don't.
So honestly,
I don't that's my bad. I don't keep enough with the Drew Butera news. That's on me.
It's hard to keep track for 6 months straight of who goes where, especially, you know, after the trade deadline. There's still a ton of moves that happen afterwards. So no fault of yours. Jason Kelly asking about John Gray for GPP while we're talking about Coors. We just touched on it a little bit, and if you want to try to, I guess they would want to watch the entire video from this morning while we're live. But if you want to try to check out what Lafayette and Jake talked about this morning with John Gray, just some issues with his pitching, and doesn't really make sense lately, where he's not missing bats at the same rate, anywhere close to it, and just getting hit hard. So I'm not on John Gray tonight, besides I think 1 or 2 lineups, maybe just one. I want to see him back to what he was doing before I would roster him at any sort of volume. I agree. I mean, so I am on him, I guess. I'm under the field, though. Holy shit, I thought the Hurricane already hit. No, it's going to hit, I think, soon, the Gifted. But I am playing as much Arizona as well as Gray. So kind of playing both sides of it. I don't think Gray is right now for whatever reason. And we tried to figure it out, but maybe he's just perfectly fine, so I limited him to 12%. Like, that was his absolute max, and I don't even think he's going to hit it. Yeah, it seems like a super trappy price is what I was telling Laffy this morning. Same with Severino, too, though.
True. And I mean, and the ownership too being close to 20% for John Gray, to me that seems like a spot where I'm okay fading it and letting somebody else to deal with if he's got an injury issue, if he's could just be gassed. I mean, it's the end of the year. You see that sometimes in other sports as well, where guys just get tapped out towards the end. And he's had to work hard to survive Coors all year, so I'm sure that kind of takes its toll on you.
What are you doing with Luis Severino, by the way, speaking of traps?
So I would have played him. I think he's been super unlucky recently, and I think that would make me get on his side. I mean, he gives up home runs. Like a lot of the Yankees pitchers, actually. Like Tanaka's the same way. Really good stuff, but gives up home runs. And I think this Minnesota lineup is not the one who's going to make them pay. Even if they are your namesake, Jake. I'm sorry, but to me, I don't see that being the spot that's going to shell him. But that said, he's been shelled in so many different spots that I feel like that might be stupid. I don't know. I'm okay with him. I'm not playing a ton of him, though, because I just don't believe in him.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm more playing him than not. I think I'm going to be around or above the field, depending on which tournament we're talking about. I think he looks fine to me. He's another one, though, where you just don't know. And you're getting him at a pretty sizable discount as a pretty big favorite with a really strong bullpen behind him. So maybe not like a ton of upside here, but you don't need a ton of upside for 9,400.
Yeah, no, you're right there. I think, the price makes sense to me, though. That was definitely one where I was going Corbin, and I've gone Corbin, and and this is sort of one of my things too, where I get horse blinders sometimes on guys, and I don't probably have enough Severino. I think the logic is there to go there, especially given my Corbin love. But once I was locked in on Corbin, I was like, he's my guy. I trust him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, let's see. Any love for Chase Anderson? He's a guy who actually have a little bit of tonight. I think he's at an interesting price. Not crazy good upside. He doesn't have a ton of strikeouts, but Chicago's been bad enough where I think he might have some value as just a guy who doesn't get shelled super bad too often. So I don't mind Chase Anderson from that perspective. I'm not expecting him to be the top pitcher on the slate by any perspective, but what are you doing, Jake?
I left him in my player pool. Yeah, I left him in my player pool, but don't expect to get a lot of him. If I'm going down to 6,700, I'm probably just going all the way down to Odorizzi at 5,500, just because I think he does have quite a bit of upside here. and you get leverage off the chalky Yankees bats. So I capped Odorizzi at 30%, and I think he's going to hit that. So if the Yankees bats falter, and let's say Odorizzi gets you 15 points, I think you're in a really, really good spot. And they could do what they did against Kyle Gibson 2 nights ago, where Gibson shut him down, gave up, I think, 1 run in 6 innings, and then they ended up with 7 or 8. That could happen again, but I think it's just such a good leverage spot for a guy that people think has reverse splits, but he hasn't been reverse splits this year because of his difference in pitch mix, which we talked about extensively this morning as well.
Yeah, I think Odorizzi's in an interesting spot, and two, I think the Yankees are just a pretty good leverage play to go against. I think people will be on them after, it's a weird game theory thought, but whenever you see that grand slam alert, I do feel like people take notice of that, and I kind of anecdotally have seen ownership kind of go with that sometimes. So I think when people see the Yankees hitting a grand slam, they see Didi, they assume the lineup's hitting back. I don't think the lineup's been that great. Stanton hasn't had a hit in a week. He's kind of slowed down in the back half of this year, really since Aaron Judge went out. I feel like not having that proofing there in the lineup has kind of hurt him. Hicks has been pretty bad lately as well. I don't know. I think they're a beatable lineup right now, and Odorizzi might get him at the right moment. And at under 10% ownership on him, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, you kind of laid it out perfectly. Just a really solid leverage play against a team that has the tendency to have a lot of swings and misses. Just for whatever reason, they just can't put it together some games.
20 Rick and Earl Fountain both pointing out that I am not wearing a hat today, and I am doing something after this live stream. So you are both very perceptive. If I'm not wearing a baseball cap, it's usually because I have something to do and I had time to shower before this live stream. So
there you go.
Very observant. They really pick up everything about us.
They do. Yeah, we're like their friends. We're all friends here. So
we are. That is one thing I find value in every form of internet content. You just want to be friends with the people who are watching your stuff or reading your stuff, because if you hate the people who are your fans, it does kind of get tedious. So we like you guys, and we appreciate you guys sticking with us through all of our internet outages and live stream issues. Jason Sullivan asking about Felix Pena. We talked a little bit about him. What's your Pena approach on the night?
Yeah, he's my highest exposed pitcher, my highest exposed player right now. I don't love the lineup that Texas rolled out. So I do have some Texas stacks against him, but I just think it's too good of a price point. They're letting him go 90, 95 pitches lately, and that was a knock on him before. They were only letting him get into the low and mid 80s. So those extra pitches make a difference if you can get another strikeout or go at an extra inning. And Texas is just not the same team outside of Arlington. Under 4 run total here. It's a bigger park. It's cooler weather. Decent chance at 20 DK points here. So I'm riding or dying with Pena tonight.
I'm pretty close to with the field with him, I think. Assuming he's around 20%, I'm pretty close to that. I don't really see him. I never really like him too much, though. I do have to say he does seem to have gotten better. His first couple starts, I was definitely targeting him, and I've gone away from that for the most part. And his performance versus righties has been pretty good. His strikeout rate's gone up pretty decently, as well as K per 9 versus righties. Obviously, not a ton of righties in that lineup, but still. I do think his stuff is good enough to not run away from, but he's not a guy who I'm like gangbusters over. I just don't see the strikeout upside for him in general. I think he's competent, but I don't know that he's I would feel super safe with him.
Oh, no, it's not a safe play. I mean, lefties are his kryptonite. He gives up a ton of hard contact, and that's why I want to hedge against him. I have 5% Texas 5-man stacks. So I'm comfortable with that. If Pena gets blown up, which I think there's an okay chance that he gets blown up here, I'll at least have a few lineups where I can maybe have one break loose and not ruin my entire night.
Earl asking if we have any Devon Travis shares, but let's talk more, I guess, generally about David Price. So a guy who I think is also kind of turning it around a little bit. He's getting his hard contact down. Seems like he's getting some more strikeouts. Strikeout rate his last couple weeks has been up to 12.5 Ks per 9, up from to go with the Blue Jays. I do think it's a guy who has enough home run pop, and hitting second I think is pretty logical. So I'm all right with it, but I think I'd rather play Price. What are you doing with Price, Jake?
I'm playing him, and when I first looked at this slate last night, I figured that he was going to be low owned, and that's not the case, obviously. So it's a little disappointing. I thought I was going to make a bigger ownership stand on him. I'm sort of with the field compared to where we have him right now on Osmo.com, and that's fine. I just thought he was going to be like 6 or 7% here, and he's just not. He's going to be 3 or 4 times that. So a little disappointed in that, but I still think he is a phenomenal play. I thought Strasburg was going to get all the ownership and be like 40%, and just looks like I'm wrong on that, at least at mid stakes here.
Yeah, I agree. I am too surprised by his ownership, but people do notice. I mean, again, I would say MLB is really the smartest DFS community out there in terms of adjusting to things ownership wise and people's performances. And David Price kind of has been better. I think a lot of people were targeting him in the first half of the season, and for whatever issues he's had, he does seem to have kind of leveled out for the most part. So I'm okay with him at 24%. I'd feel pretty comfortable with him. I didn't play him as much though, because I do think he's blowout prone, and just DFS narrative is when everybody starts to trust the guy. That is when he gets shelled. So again, he's another guy who fell victim to the Patrick Corbin ownership buzzsaw for me. But I do think he's a pretty good play, and would be more inclined to play him than stack against him with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't really have interest in Blue Jays stacks tonight. Not as main stacks, at least. If you want a mini with like a Gurriel or... There's no
goes 4 innings at his price. Isn't he a good SP2? Jorah Price is asking. A lot of the word price in that sentence and your name, Jorah. Are you playing any Mengden tonight? We talk about it every single time. I never play the guys in the opener, closer, whatever situations. I just think it's a thing that people chase, and it never turns out well for me. And I feel like I don't often see it turn out well in top tournaments. So I'm not going there. But Jake, are you going with any Daniel Mengden coming in for Liam Hendricks?
I'm not, and that may come back to bite me. I'm usually more prone to like firing up a guy that's going to come in for 5 innings or so if they're cheap and the slate calls for it. But I think you can get away with, like, Alex being on Skoglund does make a difference for me. He's obviously very sharp. Talking about Osmo here, and I do like Odorizzi. So just Odorizzi as a leverage play, I think, is such a good, like, you're getting such a boost if it does indeed pay off, where I don't think you're getting, like, even if Mengden's upside is limited, I think Odorizzi can get you 20. I think that is very possible, and I don't know that Mengden can get there. He's not a big strikeout guy anyways. So, yeah, that's kind of my take.
Yeah, I think that also makes sense too. And I think that's generally the logic I have with most of the guys who are following an opener, is that they're usually just not as good as even the worst pitcher who's getting a full run, or at least an opportunity to get a full run of starting pitching innings. And that's how I feel about Odorizzi, even against the Yankees. I just think he's won some tough matchups. He's gotten shelled in some bad matchups. I think Odorizzi's volatile, but at least he can go deep and can get you 20 points.
Yeah, Makad asked, who are the pitchers I'm completely fading tonight? So I kind of like that. I can do that each time I'm on the live stream. Just run down really quick. So Mengden, Cashner, Hendricks, Aaron Sanchez, Gallardo, and that is it.
I think I have like one Sanchez, but I agree there, and I have like 1 or 2 Skoglunds. Besides, I'm full fading Andrew Cashner too. That's one, and Gallardo. So most of the cheap guys I am fading, but it's weird. I don't know why. Now just thinking about it, like, I don't know why I would never consider Cashner, but I'm like, yeah, Skoglund, sure, why not? Like, that doesn't make the most sense. But
I mean, Cashner. I mean, at least Skoglund has some theoretical strikeout upside. I don't think Cashner has that. These guys don't really strike out anyways, and he's not even looking to get strikeouts. He wants weak ground balls. So, yeah, it's just a way better team that Cashner goes up against. It's just, I think it's clear for me between Skoglund and Cashner, it would be Skoglund.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. Do you like, I guess, how do you feel about the Boston stack? Donovan's asking about a Moreland Devers JBJ stack. I think I have a couple of bottom of the Boston order stacks with JBJ in it, but how do you feel about Boston overall tonight?
Yeah, I love Boston. I mean, Sanchez coming off a nice start against Tampa, I think, but it's just, this is a super tough matchup. Laffy talked about he walks. He's got a higher walk rate than strikeout rate, I think, against lefties. He's going to have a real tough time missing bats here. And if he does, then whatever, I'm going to get beat. But they're tied for my highest exposed stack on the night. And, yeah, I'm eating the chalk on pretty much 1 through 9. Bradley included. I think he mentioned Bradley in there, right?
Yeah, that was one that guy was talking about. Yeah, I think any part of that stack makes sense to me. Not my highest owned stack of the night, but I do have some exposure to different parts of it, and I think it makes sense. Brock Holt too, being down. Obviously, it'd be nicer if he were a little higher up in the order, but he's been hitting it well at 3K on DraftKings. That's a pretty nice little value there for a part of a team that might be one of the highest scoring on the slate.
Yeah, agreed. And it's not that difficult to fit them in. I mean, you're probably sacrificing one of Benintendi or Betts or JD, and then Bogarts is expensive, but everyone else, like, pretty good value for Devers and Holt and like Leone especially. Moreland's only 4,100. It's not too difficult to fit them in.
Since we talked about Toronto a little bit more, but
yeah, I mean lefty against Price. I'm gonna pass on that. So I don't think I have any exposure to him at all.
Yeah, same thing for me. Lefty. We discussed the reasons that we kind of think David Price is a better play, and for me, I just didn't get there. I think I have maybe one stack of Toronto, and I went Kendry Morales instead of Tejas. So I like Rowdy though. The great name, Rowdy Tejas, fantastic name.
Guys, make sure if you're using Cruncher, you refresh, because Jose Miguel Fernandez was listed as a pitcher before. So make sure you refresh, go to hitters, and then click him and make sure he's in your pool if you're going that route. So I just realized that and re-crunched quick.
Jose Miguel, the most annoying name on every website that exists.
I know. One of these sites will fix it. One of them will fix it.
One day. Let's see anything else. If you have any either ors, get them in. We know this has been kind of a scattershot stream, but we're trying to make it work. We do appreciate you guys sticking with us and ride or dying. Logan Kramer asking for FanDuel. Do you guys like David Price, Eduardo Escobar? This is a long either or, Logan, but we'll do it. David Price, Eduardo Escobar, Tim Beckham, or Patrick Corbin, Matt Chapman, and Tim Anderson for a GPP.
Second one.
Yeah, second one for me too. Corbin and Chapman are my guys for the night. Could not care less about Tim Anderson though. Who would be your stack if you're doing a single entry?
Oakland.
It would also be Oakland for me, and I would probably try to get. They're still chalky, so I'd probably go somewhere else for the other half of the stack. I don't know where I would go for the second part of that for a single entry.
I don't know, you don't want to give away an entire lineup, but
No, that's true. I'm actually going to sell my lineups on Twitter, so just follow me there and send me $100, and I'll send you my lineup.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Oakland. One team I wish I could have stacked more together, or like put them in the same lineup a little more easily. The Angels and Oakland don't stack well together because you have the outfielders you want to get on Oakland for the most part, and obviously the outfielders are the main value part of the Angels. And I feel like I should have tried to force that more now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I guess I don't really look at. So I've got Oakland a lot with like Philadelphia minis. I've got Oakland with Texas, Washington. So just like I know Oakland's gonna be chalky, but trying to combat that with some maybe not so chalky two-mans.
And also a pitcher, if you are playing Odorizzi or somebody like that, you are, or Skoglund, like our boss Alex Osimo recommends, you'll be a little less chalky anyway.
Yeah.
Justin Jennings asking what was your guys' home run pick. Our home run picks were Andrew Benintendi for Jake, and I picked Matt Olson to get some sloppy seconds on after he missed last night. Favorite Angels bats for that stack, which would you do?
Favorite Angels bats? Well, Trout, Ohtani, number 1, number 2. After that, Jose Miguel Fernandez is just way too cheap. I'm not the biggest Cole Calhoun guy, but he would probably be after Jose Miguel Fernandez if I had to choose.
Yeah, I'd probably go. I mean, Trout, Ohtani definitely would be my favorites. I think Upton people always forget, and he is a very good hitter, so I'd put him in there. If I were 5-man stacking, I'd probably skip Fletcher tonight. No, I didn't go crazy on the Royals tonight. I don't like O'Hearn going against a lefty. That threw me off the Royals.
I mean, I like the Royals for a different reason. Rodon's really bad at holding runners, and so I like Rodon. I think it's going to go one way or the other with him, though, as like he's either going to be walking guys and they're going to be getting on base and they could run all over him, like Merrifield and Mondesi especially, Gordon too a little bit, or I think he's going to be able to rack up strikeouts. So Adam wrote about Rodon in the deeper dive, and it was a very good read. So if you're not a premium member, that's another reason to get that article. I mean, it's very valuable to me, and I'm sure it is to our subscribers as well.
Would you go A's or Red Sox for your single entry? I mean, you picked A's, but would you go with them over the Red Sox for a single entry?
Yeah.
Okay. I would too. I think, they're a little more affordable.
I just think, yeah. I mean, I have the same exposure, but if I had to choose, it would be the A's for one lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I'm stacking Eagles too, but I low-key realized they suck. They'll tell you who does not suck is Joe Ohtani and Mike Trout. They have, I think, Trout's on base percentage over the last week I was looking at. He's gotten on base 800. I think he's like at an 800 OBP right now.
It's pretty good.
Hold on. So, 727 OBP, 353 ISO, 750 BABIP is Mike Trout. Ohtani, 540 on base percentage, 591 ISO, 500 BABIP for Ohtani. So those dudes are good. You might not like the team, but those guys are monsters.
Yeah, they're a perfectly fine stack against Gallardo. Like, right? Yeah.
We're gonna have a weird schedule of shows coming up the next couple days. Jake is gonna be out of pocket doing some bachelor party and wedding stuff. Josh obviously is being hurricane strifed, so send him your support at Josh Engelman. Follow him, give him some sweet love because he's battling a hurricane. I think tomorrow it's going to be Lofty and me doing the show, but I don't know. I know. A lot of people saying things.
We're figuring it out. That's what you guys need to know. There will be shows. The process show is going to be on hold because that is kind of Josh's thing with Lafayette and or Adam. But there will be a show in the morning. There will be a show live before lock. It just may be a little bit of a mystery of who's going to be on it. So that's what you guys get to figure out. Hopefully it goes smoother tomorrow without me.
I'm pretty confident it will be me. Actually, one last question for Ricky Vassant. How much weight do you put in recent stats for MLB versus season long? So I value season long, and we as a site value season long and multiple years if you can get it. I do think it's helpful, and actually one of our guys who's in the live streams fairly often, Sean B, was mentioning a lot of recency bias things that ended up being right. I thought it was important to kind of inject that viewpoint into what I'm doing, but it's not a defining thing. It's more of like so I know who's hot right now, because I do think really good hitters who are hot you want to get more of. But really shitty hitters who are hot, it doesn't really matter. It could just be a mirage. So that's how I approach it.
I mean, for pitchers more, I weigh the recent stats. For hitters, it's kind of I want like hundreds of at bats in the sample size, or on a team level, last 30 days, you're usually getting a few hundred at bats sample size. So I like to do that. Sean B wasn't here today. He was in the morning stream though. I think he had some calls. I forgot to write them down so I could troll him afterwards. But no
spreadsheet. But Jake's approach is right too. I think with pitchers too, you can notice some more things, especially with the last 14 days stats on FanGraph. So you could see when a guy is kind of losing his stuff for whatever reason. There's just some ebbs and flows which have been helpful for me to pick up. So. That's it. Anyway, become a premium member of Awesemo.com. Use the code Strategy Show if you want to get on there. You get all of our ownership projections, rankings, and also articles from Alex and the deep dive articles every day, which break down the MLB slates. They go very in depth, a lot of helpful information there. Some NFL content as well, obviously. But promo code Strategy Show will get you 1 week free, as well as our Fantasy Cruncher add-on, which is a sample that is free for the next couple of days. So get in there while it's good. Get your NFL lineups, do your MLB lineups, have some fun. Any parting words before we go, Jake?
Good luck in the next few days. I'll be around intermittently, mostly in the form of written content. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. But for the night crew, so have a good couple days of MLB. Don't lose all your money in NFL. Watch the shows, learn stuff. I promise you will if you watch us and these guys that come over. I mean, we're learning stuff from each other, I think. So it's been a good combo. Good luck, guys.
Yeah. Oh, and also the Slant and Go coming tomorrow, my NFL column, which I'm halfway through right now and already have an ungodly amount of words written. But keep an eye out for that, and we'll talk some NFL tomorrow on the stream as well before I assume with Lofty. So keep an eye out. We'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for riding with our problems, and good luck tonight.